Instruction, golf news, equipment, travel, interviews, course profiles, and more. Your weekly fix of all things golf is about to begin. It's the Flagstick Podcast with your hosts, Jeff Potter and Scott McLeod. Well, here we go. Here we go with another episode of the Flagstick Podcast sponsored by Golf PEI. Golf Prince Edward Island is a premier Canadian golf destination boasting more golf courses per capita in the entire country. With over 400 fairways closer than you can imagine, top-tier accommodations, and exquisite culinary experiences, it is the easiest golf vacation you will ever book. Book golf vacations and tee times at golfpei.ca. Well, welcome in, Scott McLeod, as always. Scotty
Welcome.
Mac.
How are you, man?
Whew. Great to be back in our usual recording time.
Yeah,
I do like the weekend.
exactly.
Nobody really knows, and nobody really cares. And when do they record the show? Well,
Only
it's
we know.
weekly.
Only we know. Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
Back to normal time. Kids are back in school. Life has returned to some level of normalcy once again. I lose an hour of sleep. It's like the clock's going forward.
Gotcha.
I lose an hour of sleep now that they're back in school. Plus, I have to make lunches and all that crap.
Oh, that's too bad. I have to drive mine halfway across the province today. So.
All right. Yeah, but it's fun times. Fun times.
Yeah,
You're gonna be at Wooden Sticks. You're gonna get around in while you're there.
I wish. It'll be a little cold, I think. Hopefully, I'll have cabin number 1 right by the putting green. But
nice.
Yeah,
Nice.
you know what?
Shovel.
I was surprised actually that they're open in the wintertime, but I guess they've got 2 simulators in there now. This is Wooden Stick Golf Club in Uxbridge, Ontario, and they've got some winter activities and things like that there as well. So yeah, more and more clubs are doing that. And
little fireplaces in those cabins, isn't there?
I think so. Yeah.
Oh, yes.
So I think that ties in a little bit with maybe what we're going to be talking about later, but we'll get to that when we get to it.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yes. And you know, speaking of what we're going to talk about later and what we're going to talk about on the show this week, you know, the front 9 this week is going to be a little bit dicey, a little bit, a little more interesting, dicey. I don't know.
I wouldn't call it dicey.
We don't do much controversy on Flagstick Podcast. It's kind of, so this will be kind of like it's not controversy, but we're going to talk about some things that are,
heating up the golf world.
Yeah, heating up the golf world a little bit. Maybe taking away from the golf part of golf, and and adding the soap opera drama to it. We're going to talk a little bit about that. Yeah. We're going to talk quickly about the Flagstick Open and where things are at with that, because we're getting a crap load of emails and DMs and texts. When is registration opening? So we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk a little bit about YouTube. And some things going on there, also on the front 9. But when we get to the back 9 with this episode, we're going to be talking about a neat little topic. We don't want to give away too much, but we're going to be talking about something that's been up on Twitter, and the perfect club. And not necessarily, we're not talking about golf clubs, like the kind of go to 14 that go in your bag. We're talking about the perfect golf club. And strip it down. What does it look like for you? So that's going to be our back 9 topic. And it's going to be interesting because there has been and still continues to be an enormous amount of feedback through Twitter, with people submitting sort of their idea of what the perfect club means to them. So it's going to be a cool little topic, because I have my ideas, you have your ideas, and we're going to talk about those. But we're also going to reveal some of what our audience through social media has sort of thrown out at us. So that's going to be in the back.
Some publicly, some anonymously.
Yeah. Some that we can't read. This is somewhat of a family-friendly podcast. This isn't spitting chicklets. So there's certain types of conversations and languages that you're just not going to hear.
Yeah, there we go.
Okay, so in order to get there, we got to get through the front 9. So let's start off the front 9, presented by Metcalf Golf, a natural setting, a pleasant challenge. Golf season may be closer than you think, and I think it is. So you think, don't wait to save on golf this season. Buy a membership, join a league, purchase some game packs, and be ready to hit the first tee when the snow melts and we're golfing. Visit metcalfgolf.com to shop now. Okay, Scott.
Yes, sir.
Let's get the Flagstick Open talk out of the way, because
Yeah, for sure.
it has been, and we just had pre-show. We had a pre-show chat just to kind of go over some things before I reach over onto my computer and click the open button, which by the time we air this podcast, registration will be open. So
be ready.
Registration for the Flagstick Open is open. There you go. We have some things we have to iron out still. I mean, as always, it's early. Inventory, with our sponsors, getting registration gift details figured out. We've got a little bit to figure out there with a registration gift. But anybody that's ever played in a Flagstick Open knows that registration gift is going to be phenomenal.
Solid.
It's going to be solid. You're going to like it. Everybody does every year, always. So,
and that's the second question that usually comes after, is registration open? What's in the gift this year? So just tell people right now, just be patient with us, because it takes time to get things organized. There's a lot of logistics that are involved in running a tournament operation that's like this. When we know exactly what it's going to be, we will share. I guarantee it. We're not going to hide it.
No.
We're going to let you know as soon as possible as we know. So save my inbox, please.
Yes, don't ask.
From the what are we getting? What are we getting? What are we getting? What are we getting? I guarantee you, we always pick out something good. We always have for all the many years that we've run in this tournament. So just be patient with us, the suppliers. It's a busy time of year. Got to get these things organized, but know that we put as much thought into this event this year as we have every other year. This is the 11th playing of the Flagstick Open Amateur Championship. Coming up, and we'll reveal all the details when we can.
Oh yeah, exactly. It's a Victoria Day long weekend. As always, we're back. This is the second year in a row that we've been back to that date. It's at Equinell Golf Club, as it always has been. We have a long agreement with Equinell to host there. We want to make it, continue to make it our host club. It's kind of like our little Augusta in Eastern Ontario. Everything's still going to be the same as far as what's included: the golf, the meal, range balls.
Hopefully the weather is better than the last 2 years.
Well, you know what? It's kind of like once you hit the bottom of the barrel, it really is hard to, go further at the bottom of the barrel. True. So whatever the weather is going to be an improvement over what we had last year. So so I'm game for just about anything right now. But yes, registration's open, and just to give you an idea, there were almost as many on the wait list after 2 weeks of opening the registration as we had in the tournament, and we can only take 120 max. So there's no slip a couple more groups in. We have a set number. We cannot take more than 120. It's a split tee event, so get your entries in right away, and if not, you will go on the wait list. And a lot of people off the wait list did get in, but when you have that many on the wait list, you want to get that entry in right away.
There's no guarantee. And, everybody's making up their tournament schedules and things right now. So, get it on your list right away and get that entry in and get it taken care of. And then, then you don't have to worry about it. Then you don't have to sit on the wait list and wonder, am I going to get drawn and get in the event? So
there you go. Okay.
All right.
Out of the way. Pebble Beach Pro-Am
yes, sir.
Is this weekend, or is happening.
Yes, sir.
As we speak. Pebble Beach Pro-Am. It's not the US Open at Pebble Beach. It's Pebble Beach, which is great, but do you watch it? Is it just another PGA Tour event? It's got a good field, reasonably good field.
That's questionable. And that's the hard part every year. Here's the thing. You know what? If players are on the PGA Tour, they're good. Right? There's obviously great players. There's some great talent that's there. It tends to be an event that, some players will skip if they look at their schedule, because you got to remember now, if we look at, the schedule and the elevated events and all the different things, do players necessarily want to play Pro-Ams? Not really a lot. They play in Pro-Ams because they have to, but this is an extended Pro-Am through the weekend. It's a little bit more torturous. It is Pebble Beach. So, that makes a big appeal. As far as watching it, you know what? I have a hard time watching this event. I love the views for Pebble Beach. I certainly will catch some of it just because, follow the Canadians. Ben Silverman, who won on the Corn Ferry Tour last week, he's got a sponsor's exemption to this. It's the first time he's playing the Pebble Beach Pro-Am since 2019 when he was on tour for a couple years. So it's nice to have an extra Canadian in there this week. I'll watch it for the views, but I'm not expecting, a high, big quality tournament with, so it's not must-see TV for me. I'll catch some of it, but I won't watch all of it. How's that?
Yeah, it's not, the celebrity part has kind of gotten a little bit old for me. Like Bill Murray's shtick is,
oh yeah,
I mean, he plays every year. Bill Murray's exciting, funny guy.
I wish they'd show some of the other celebrities that are there. Like Will Arnett and Justin Bateman are playing, which, they're two guys that just love golf. Will Arnett's a Canadian. People will know them now a lot through obviously Ozark and, Arrested Development, but now Smartless, their podcast or whatever. But, they're golf junkies, but show some of them. I don't want to see more of Bill Murray. Really.
No. And I don't know. I mean, I don't want to see Aaron Rodgers playing golf either. Like I just, I guess that's the celebrity side. First of all, for me, I'm not a starstruck celebrity kind of guy anyway.
Yeah,
like I don't, it doesn't. I don't go Google Gaga over whatever Hollywood celebrity is. I think they're extremely talented at what they do. They're extremely well paid for what they do. I'm not gonna, go out of my way to, oh my God, look who it is. I saw him on the big screen. Big deal. Like, frankly, big deal. So seeing them on the golf course playing at the Pebble, I would rather see the PGA Tour players play Pebble Beach for 4 days and not have to look at a single celebrity play around a golf.
Right.
I mean, a lot of them are pretty decent golfers, but a lot of them suck.
Yeah. And I'm hopeful too that maybe CBS will step some things up with the broadcast. I mean, last week, at the Farmers Insurance Open, they had during the third round, they put an earbud in Max Homa's ear and did a little interview going down the fairway. And who knows? I mean, they're obviously trying to think of things that are being more progressive. I think Pebble Beach with the views and everything and celebrities and stuff there is an opportunity to do something a little bit more creative, whether it be camera angles or things like that. Whether they do it or not, I mean, they're handed great material. It just comes down to how they shape it for the viewing audience.
Yeah, exactly.
More than anything.
Yeah, exactly. So love it or hate it, Pebble Beach Pro-Am is happening all weekend.
Yep.
If you love it,
I'm assuming you're not watching the Saudi International on the flagship event on the Asian Tour.
No.
Okay.
No.
Which will lead us into probably where we're headed next for our conversation.
Yeah. I mean, here's the thing. Life is drama. I mean, reality of it is that every day that you wake up and go about your day, there's going to be a certain level of drama in your day, whatever it happens to be. I mean, my wife works from home. I hear the things that she goes on through the day, that there's something. Oh my gosh, this guy did this or this person did this, and I can't. Whatever. I mean, it's drama. It happens in the workplace. It happens in everyday life. I'm finding more and more, and maybe it's just because it's top of mind right now, but I'm finding more and more that professional golf, PGA Tour golf, whatever, not just the PGA Tour, but it seems to be isolated around that right now, or that level of golf. There seems to be more attention on the drama that surrounds it than there is on the golf that's happening on the golf course.
I think one reason that it happens around, the tour, and you mentioned that as far as the tours or the tours specifically, as far as the top level golf, is that they are common ground for people, right? So, they're not likely to talk about something at a, that they don't know. They all know about it. They're all aware of it. So they talk about it. But I'm with you as far as, here's the thing. As you said, there's enough drama in life as it is. I don't need more of it. So, as somebody who's been on Twitter for 15 years, think about that now, right? 70,000 plus tweets or whatever. I find I steer myself away from it. I don't dive into it, that's for sure. And I've been involved with, things like golf forums and different things over the years. And you're right. People want to have things that are, I have an opinion on it. I have an opinion on it. Let's butt heads. Well, chances are you're not changing the other person's opinion on it. So you're welcome to that opinion. That's fine. But you're right. I think it gets to a point where, and we're talking specifically here, obviously, about, Live Golf, PGA Tour Golf, or whatever, and, the things that are happening with them. I think the unfortunate part here is it becomes a distraction from all that is good in the game, and I'll go back to Max Hobo winning last weekend. It was a fantastic win. Sam Ryder was a good story. He was playing really well there, or whatever. Those are the stories. And I don't care whether that's the PGA Tour or Live or whatever. You got to focus on the right things as far as the story. And, don't sit there and focus on, the money, or we're better than you, or we're better than you. And that's from both sides, really. I think it's needless. I think it takes attention. I think it disrespects the game. It takes attention from the game itself. And when I say the game itself, the game of golf is not professional golf. No. While it is a common bond for everyone, because a lot of people are aware of it, 99.99999% of the golf in the world does not take place on professional tours. No. And I think if people spent less of their time and resources worrying about that stuff and realize that, the game of golf is bigger and there's other important parts of the game that they can focus on, they would realize that, one, golf is not doomed. That's when people are sitting there talking about PGA Tour versus Live or whatever. That has nothing to do with what's going to happen at your local golf club.
No, it's not going to change anything.
Afternoon. No, it's not.
It's not going to change anything.
It's not. So, yeah. So I think it's, I think we've agreed on that, that controversy and that TMZ level drama, not to,
and that's exactly what it is. That's to me, that's what it's come down to. Now, here's the question for you: is that our fault? Like, not you and I specifically, but we're media. Now, the one thing with us is that we have never, as Flagstick as a whole, from the 1996 when I started the magazine to now when we're doing podcasts, we've never used this platform to create conversations about things like that, like the drama. We've never, we've always been about reporting and discussing. Right. But is it the media's fault? Is the media the one that's taking the situation with Rory and Patrick Reed and turning it into something that it's that it's not?
I'll put it two ways here. One, I would say some are, because they know it's, all you have to do is look through Google keyword searches and see that, obviously, a certain other league is a big hot topic. So it's really easy to look at the analytics and go, okay, well, I'm going to do something about that because it's going to get clicks. Right. And I get it, but, make sure it's quality stuff. I think the other side of it now is that, mainstream media is mainstream media, or actual journalists as far as doing things. They provide a certain change in the temperature. I think the temperature change in a lot of cases comes from the social media and the fact that there's so many accounts that are just relying on rumors. I heard it from this person. I heard it from this person. And then that person, because I get it all the time. People come back to me and they'll say, oh, I heard so-and-so player is getting this. I'm like, where'd you hear that? Well, I read it on this account, and that account says they have a good source. That person is sitting in their basement someplace and has never covered a professional golf tour in their life, and they're not responsible for their words. No, that's the thing. As a, and I can tell you from, looking at the Golf Journalists Association and all our members and things like that, we are responsible for our words. We can't sit there and throw stuff out that's just fake. You know what I mean? We have to have sources for it. We have, citations for it or whatever. I'm not saying every journalist, sticks to that, but I would say the temperature gets pushed up by a lot of anonymous stuff and stuff that's put out there.
But doesn't a lot of that anonymous stuff, Scott, happen in the mainstream media that is supposed to be accountable?
Some.
Like, but I think that's a problem, come from somewhere. They're unsubstantiated.
Yeah, but they don't necessarily come from the media. The media only makes up a small portion of the people in the world. There's more other people in the world.
Right, but something may start by a simple tweet or a simple post or a simple article that doesn't quite have all the facts, but is not untrue, and then you're your bottom feeders of social media grab onto it, and the whole thing goes viral. And it's just the story. I mean, we know the old story of how you tell a story to somebody, and then that person adds some color and tells it to someone else, and so on and so on. And is that kind of where things are, where this is going?
I think one of the things that happens too, and and obviously people have to be very careful as far as from a, even from a journalism standpoint. There's a difference between reporting and opinions, and people have to realize that op-eds are not journalism. They're writing, they're contributions,
but they're not journalism. Yes,
right. They're not journalism. So, people have to look to things that have cited possible, sources and whatever. And I get there's tons of situations where you have, sources that want to remain anonymous or whatever. But I think too many people are too quick to just throw stuff out there for the sake of clout and the sake of clicks, to gather attention. And unfortunately, as a result of it, it turns up a temperature where it doesn't need to be. You know what? Granted, on the other side of it, yes, is there situations that need investigation and that are controversial? For sure. Yeah. I'm not saying that it's a perfect little world. There's certainly stuff that's happening in certain situations that need to be addressed. But they need to be addressed in as much of a professional way as possible. And again, I think people have to realize and separate that that's not golf, right?
No,
that's not golf. That is golf at a professional level. But that's, when you hear the opinions from people, when all of a sudden their opinion of golf is shaped by that, that's a problem for associations, for professionals, for anybody that's involved, managers, anybody that's involved in the game of golf has to then be helpful and contribute and realize, okay, you know what? We have to be working harder to educate people that that's not golf. That's not what happens at the club down the street.
No,
it doesn't matter. Two tours fighting has nothing to do with the price of, a hat in your pro shop.
No, and it's kind of like you can attribute that sort of when you see, when you're watching like shows like E-Talk or whatever major news TV shows, and they're talking about celebrities, and this celebrity did this, and they were seen out here doing this. That's a TMZ mentality. That's what you're looking at the celebrity. The celebrity is doing this. Well, who cares?
Yeah.
Like, does that celebrity doing that have any impact on my life whatsoever?
No, but they
could be out at the bar getting drunk to the heart's content and falling all over the floor. That's a scandal for them. That's not a scandal for me. It changes nothing in my life. Live Golf and the PGA Tour doing what they're doing, bickering back and forth, not, whatever the case may be, it has absolutely no bearing on my life whatsoever. I'm going to get up in the spring when I'm golfing. I'm going to get up, I'm going to grab my clubs, I'm going to go to the course, and I'm going to play golf. And nothing that they do or say, or how much money they make or don't make, or what tours do and what, or whether they're getting ranking points or not, I could care absolutely less.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. It changes nothing in my life. And like you say, it doesn't change the cost of a stick of gum.
Right.
It doesn't. And
if it didn't exist, I mean, I wouldn't care if we weren't talking about it, because there's lots of other golf things to talk about that are probably just as worthy, or if not more. So
exactly. I mean, it's great to turn on the TV and watch professional golf, whether it's at the PGA Tour, the DP World Tour, the Corn Ferry Tour, the PGA Tour of Canada, the LPGA.
Yeah,
it's great to turn on and watch people that are extremely good. It's like turning on the TV and watching an NHL hockey game. That's awesome.
Yeah.
But if I couldn't turn on the TV and watch an NHL hockey game, it's not necessarily going to change my life any.
Right.
It might change my TV watching habits.
Yeah.
But it's not going to change my life. I can watch OHL, or I can go go to the local rink and watch junior hockey there. Like, I'll get my hockey fix in.
Just imagine if social media was alive when the WHA NHL stuff was going on.
Well, it would have been the Live Golf PGA Tour of the the 1970s, right?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it was the same thing, the same concept. The WHA was paying NHL players that were at the end of their career, exorbitant amounts of money to be the figureheads for this new association. And then what ended up happening to the WHA?
See ya.
It got absorbed by the NHL, and now we have the Edmonton Oilers, the Winnipeg Jets, and so on and so forth. Is that what's going to happen with Live Golf? Are they going to? Who knows?
No, but I think it's probably the closest comparable in a non-social media era that I've seen for sure. So
yeah, it came, it went, it happened, it's done. And yeah, if we didn't have endless ways of learning about stuff the way we do now,
right, we probably there's a lot of stuff that we wouldn't be talking about.
Well, exactly. Well, we wouldn't be having a podcast.
Well, true. You're right. So
we wouldn't be here right now doing this. We'd still be doing other things.
On the radio.
God,
still be on the radio.
Oh my God. Okay. Do you want to talk about this YouTube thing? I think we've got some time before we need to take a break. Let's dive into
we've never really talked a lot about it, and I mean, and what I'm talking about here is, YouTube content creators in the golf space, which are obviously, again, we're on YouTube, so we're a content creator, but not in the same way at this point. But what I want to know is, I start to talk to more and more golfers, and they ask them questions about this. Especially obviously it affects things like marketing and so forth, because we've got influencers, YouTube content creators doing deals and stuff like that. But what I find is there's a certain audience within that. Now, every audience is going to be different. There's going to be outliers and things like that. And I will admit right here from the start that I watch a fair bit of content of YouTube golf online for particular reasons, and looking at it from marketing, creativity standpoint and stuff like that. General entertainment for sure. But I also find the audience is very young, to the point I remember being with a YouTuber a few years back at a PGA show, and obviously they were doing quite well, and they were gaining an audience, but they thought that for some reason that their audience would be all these people that were at the PGA show that were 30 to 50 years old or whatever. And what they ended up finding out was it was a whole bunch of 12-year-olds that were the kids of the people that were at the show. They were coming up and going, "Hey, I watch your YouTube channel," or whatever. Not to say that that's not an important market, because as we know, the junior golfers of tomorrow, or the junior golfers of today, are the golfers tomorrow. So what I want to know is, do you watch this? What are your thoughts on it in general? What do you like, don't like? What's your take on it as far as a creative outlet in golf?
I mean, I'm kind of I guess we'll say hit and miss. Some of it I do pay attention to. Probably the ones that I pay more attention to are the YouTubers that are kind of like this, where it's more of a YouTube podcast type thing.
Sure.
I watch a little bit of the instruction to see what types of things are being recorded on YouTube for instruction.
Sure.
Some of the product based stuff where they're talking like about different products, reviews and things like that. The more I don't know how to describe it.
Do you watch some of like the playing stuff and the groups that are out, engaging in matches and stuff like that?
Yeah,
is that stuff you don't watch?
Not really as much for me. I mean, I don't have a ton of time to watch a ton of the stuff on YouTube, and I kind of back and forth myself between golf and hockey.
Sure.
And I'm kind of the same way with hockey. I mean, I post some things on YouTube through hockey with instruction. And I watch similar things as well, instructors doing, and maybe as a golf professional, as a teacher, instructor yourself, watching other people seeing how they deliver their message, the content of what they deliver, whether you agree or disagree.
Bad.
Well, and that's the thing. Like, I'll watch a lot of hockey-based stuff. I mean, I'm not a golf instructor, so I watch golf instruction for the sake of, as a player, if there's something of interest to me. But from a hockey perspective, it's the opposite. I teach it, I instruct it, so I'm watching how other instructors, what drills they're doing, and whether I agree with them. I very seldom comment. I'll say that is one thing. I'm not an active participant. I subscribe to a lot of YouTube channels in both hockey and golf, but I don't participate. And part of the reason for that is I find that when you start participating and leaving comments, their opinions a lot of time. And nothing that I tell somebody about what they're teaching in a negative fashion is really substantiated, because I might be wrong, and it might just be the way I want to show it. So I don't really, now if I really like something, I might say, bang on, love that, great comment, great tip. really enjoy the the podcast, or really enjoy your channel. Like
Yeah.
positive stuff, not really much. I'm
Sure.
not a negativity guy. I just
Yeah. I would say I'm a curious guy. So even if I look at, golf instruction stuff, I'm the same thing. I won't be leaving going, oh, that thing's trash or whatever the case may be. There's value in a lot of different things, one way or the other. If it's somebody that I know, I might engage with them and ask them, hey, you chose to do this way. What are you doing that based on? So I'm doing it from an education standpoint. I would say I have a great respect for some of the channels that are coming up in their production value. And I think that those are the ones that seem to have the most success, are the ones that, if you look at it from a filmmaking standpoint, and, I'll follow, like a lot of people do, like a Casey Neistat, who's a, filmmaker, you look at the stories and they think about it. You can tell when a video is carefully crafted, as far as they're going, okay, here's what we're going to do, here's what we're going to start with, here's the shots we're going to do, here's our drone shots, here's our other shots, here's our transitions that we're going to do. And you can see that, a channel, and I'll use a big channel for an example, say a good, they've got, two guys behind it who worked in Hollywood, so they're talented, they have skills, right? And not to say that people that don't have a Hollywood production, it doesn't provide value, but it doesn't hit kind of the same way. So I think it's a growing market, but I also think it's much like a lot of other digital type things. People have to be very careful, especially from a business standpoint, of what they get involved in. So if all of a sudden somebody is showing X online, maybe it's trick shots or whatever, but their company invests in that person. Well, what if that person, it took them 57 tries to pull off that trick shot, or it's digitally faked or whatever. So one of the things that, for people, audiences can be tricked, but somebody has to be authentic if they're going to be an influencer in most ways, especially in reality. If you take somebody out of the YouTube sphere, or take them away from the social media sphere, and then you put them in person, it can be a whole different other story of what your perception of who they are versus who they become. And I've been at situations, and I think I mentioned to you, where all of a sudden, I was at an event where a bunch of influencers were, basically added to the event. They came to the event. Yes, they provided value with, eyeballs and things like that, and engagement and things like that. But when it came to a real life situation where they were being asked to, talk to the people involved and ask, questions of them, you all of a sudden see that they're not journalists. So they are what they are. So I think from an entertainment standpoint, I think it's a great side of things. I think it's a great way for content to be created, but I just think people have to be, just a little bit leery sometimes about what people present versus what they really are. It's a great sphere, to get into. Will I watch more of it? Probably. But again, it's easy to see who's providing quality and who's not. If all of a sudden I go to watch a review of equipment and people don't even know how to pronounce the name of an equipment manufacturer, or you can clearly see, or at least I can, that there's issues there with their knowledge level. And that's where I get concerned with, all of a sudden, some 12-year-old getting influenced by a person who is obviously, not really educated regarding that. And that would be the same for hockey instruction or golf instruction. I see a lot of trash that gets out there, where you're just seeing misinformation that's probably doing more damage than good. And those people would probably be better off. And there's some great stuff out there, but in a lot of the cases, people have to realize it's not the magic bullet. While it's free, and you're still probably better off to have a personal coach with you, working you and guiding you through those particular things, because some of those solutions that you see online, again, any sport that it is out there, they may not apply to you. So it becomes the WebMD of golf.
Well, exactly.
Hey, let's look for a I'm coughing, I must have this. I mean, that's so
guilty as charged with the WebMD thing,
right. So a lot of that happens that way. So I think it's got a lot of potential. I just think over time, bad stuff will get weeded out, good stuff will push its way forward, and I'll already you see better stuff sort of rise and become the cream of the crop. But it's got a future within the game for sure.
No, I think so too. I totally agree. I kind of like look at it like there's three stages of for me anyway with respect to YouTube. if your content is really, really solid, then I can tolerate your production value, your production level being weak. If your content is really, really weak and your production quality is really high scale, then I'm bound to tune in for that. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So aim to be really decent and really good with your content, and really decent and really good with your production value, and you got me. You know, you don't have to be perfect on one side or the other, but if you're decent on both sides of it, then you're probably going to get me. But if you're, you know what I mean? Like if your production value sucks and your content sucks, well, you're going to get dropped from my subscriber list or not get subscribed altogether. And on the other side of it, if production value is really good and your content is really good, well, you're definitely going to get me, right?
Well, so, I think my last point that I'd have on all that is that, you know, one, if, you know, again, they're trying to gain attention, but if you all of a sudden see a lot of clickbait thumbnails and stuff like that, and then I go watch the video, you know, and it's not even close to that, no thanks. But if it's genuine, I'm more than happy to see that. And then on the other side of it too, you know what, do what you can. I mean, I get it, some people have a big production team or whatever, but you know, a lot of people end up just trying to feed the algorithm, so they end up just trying to jam as much stuff up there as possible, and sometimes it's not very good. And I think a lot of creators find out quickly that, you know, feeding the algorithm is not really a healthy way to go. So you know, just put out good quality stuff and the timing that you need, and away you go.
Okay, I got one more thing to say, and we got a couple minutes in, then we got to take a break. I got one more thing to say about YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram and things like that when it comes to your kids. Okay. Now this applies to any athletic or anything really, but because we're golfers and, you know, and hockey and things like that, I'm going to focus on that. When you post some video of your young lad or young daughter or whatever, swinging a golf club, chipping, putting, playing hockey, doing drills, when you think that what you're seeing on your video is something extraordinary,
I know where you're going with
be careful what you're posting, because you're actually potentially, and I see this more with the hockey than the golf, because I don't see as much of the posting with golf, because it's really kind of hard to see a good swing. It's not hard to see a good swing and a bad swing, but when you post it and it's not good and you think it's good, think about the fact that the comments and the eyeballs that are on that, because it's one thing that I see, especially on TikTok. People comment on those videos, and some of the comments that are made on those videos are so hurtful. Because what you're showing is a kid doing something that you think is extraordinary,
and that the kid loves, and that the kid loves to do, and you're basically going to destroy them, because they're going to all of a sudden they're going to be watching it, or they share it with their friends or whatever, and they're reading all the comments, and it's like, oh boy, this is not good. So I would say definitely a lot of caution should be taken there for sure.
You want to video it, post it on Facebook, and, you know, for your friends, like you know, I post stuff that my kids do, that I do, you know, all the time on Facebook, but those things go to my friend group. Now I know they can get shared outside that, but they're not intended for that. And I don't say, hey, check out how awesome my young lad did this or whatever. It's kind of like general post, but when you kind of butter it up and put it out there on social media for everybody, thinking that you're exposing your kid to some college scout somewhere, and it's not good, then you're damaging. Just don't do it. Don't do it. Okay. We got to take a break. When we come back, we are going to dive into the topic of the perfect club, starting from scratch, and get into some of the comments and whatnot that we've received on the Twitter post that Scott made. So stick around. We'll be right back on the Flagstick Podcast.
When you golf on Prince Edward Island, there are over 400 fairways closer than you can imagine. Not to mention countless miles of pristine beaches and a rich world-class culinary experience. So get here fast, then take it slow and play around on Island Time. Golf Prince Edward Island.
And welcome back to the Flagstick Podcast with your host, Jeff Potter and Scott McLeod.
What's going on, Jeffrey?
So we got this really, really cool little topic we want to dive into.
I wouldn't say little. little
are any of the topics we really get into on this podcast that little?
Well, some could be, but this one is definitely a big topic. It's a little question with lots of people with lots of opinions on it. How's that?
There's endless possibilities here, but we definitely want to dive into this because it's going to be a cool little discussion. The back nine is brought to you by Golf Sim Gurus. Work on your game all year round in the privacy of your own home. Custom golf simulator setups built to your specs and to fit your budget. Visit golfsimgurus.ca to learn more. All right. The perfect club.
Yeah. And we're not talking, as you said, no. This is not the infomercial golf club that you saw, on the Golf Channel. This is
Hi, Bobby, look at this. It's got the sole plate of that thing. Okay, no.
Yeah.
No, this is so what does the perfect club look like to you? Strip it down.
Yeah.
Start from scratch.
Yeah.
I guess we could say forget about how much it costs to build this particular, like if you want it to be perfect, you can't have parameters,
No, but if you want it to be perfect, it actually has to be functional and it has to be realistic.
So it can't be stupid. We're trying not to be outrageous here with floating golf carts and drones,
I'll relate it back to a golf architecture course I took years ago, where they basically give you a topographical map and you have to design a golf course on that layout. Right. Now, there's challenges within that layout because the property that was there had certain lakes and stuff on it. I can tell you the person that built 40 bridges to go back and forth across the lakes probably failed because from a functional standpoint, you can't do that and then also say, hey, the green fee's got to be $40.
Well, look, unless of course his intention from the very beginning of seeing the topographical map and the property idea was to name his golf course 40 Bridges Golf Club.
Yeah, exactly.
Then literally had no choice, or
and a $400 green fee to pay for the bridges and their maintenance.
I hope that it was a heck of a golf course for $400 green fee of 40 bridges to cross. Okay, exactly. So essentially what we're doing here is we are reimagining the golf club from ground zero.
Yeah.
0, 0, 0, 0. Sam Mitchell, Raptors, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. That's the stat line. Yeah. So, what does that look like?
Let's start here. We'll frame it up, and obviously there's lots of different ways we can go about it and things. And I think one thing that, in putting the notes out there, I look at it as a whole. I look at it from every aspect that's involved in those clubs. I will tell you that most of the responses, and believe me, I've got 50 some odd detailed responses and then a bunch of other ones and 15,000 impressions on the tweet that was put out yesterday, that a lot of people and probably too many people focused, which you still have to, on the physical golf course itself. And you have to remember, I didn't say perfect golf course. I said perfect golf club.
Yes.
And all the things that go into it to make it successful, to make it attractive and whatever. So, I will say a lot of the comments that came in, there were a lot of great comments that were not just related to that. But I would say a lot of people, their first instinct was to look at the golf course, which is obviously very key. But it's also, you can build the greatest golf course, but that doesn't mean it's going to be successful because there's a lot of other elements to make.
No, the greatest golf course might not be the greatest golf club.
Correct. Exactly.
But in reimagining a golf club from ground zero,
obviously the course.
My first instinct would be, first things first, I want to build a golf course that I'm interested in being at on a weekly, daily basis and playing. So that's got to be.
So what would be the elements that would what would be that included for you? What would that include? Sorry.
In the perfect golf course component of it, or
exactly.
Okay. So from a golf course perspective, I am one that I like variety in the holes. I like elevation. doesn't have to be ridiculous, Mont Tremblant,
Right.
elevation here. It can be just
just some
realistic elevation, some kind of levels of up and down. I like variety. I don't particularly like to stand on the tee and say, oh, didn't I just play this hole? So
yeah,
I like some variety in my holes, and I'm not an architect by any means, but I've seen a lot of golf courses and played a lot of golf courses. I know that it does not take much when you're designing a hole to make it look different than the one you just played.
Right.
So even if it's still straight.
Yeah, exactly. Instead of just the back and forth, like you said, it looks like the exact same.
I like, for me, I like bunkering. I like my bunkering to be from the condition of the golf course. I like my bunkering. I like edging on my bunkering. I like it to look sharp. I don't like grass growing in it. I don't like, unless that's the design characteristic where you have sort of the furry edges, we'll call them, where it's the longest grass that grows over, and it's kind of, that's the style of that particular
but that doesn't need to be
design.
That doesn't need to be in the bunker.
No, it doesn't need to be tufts of grass in the bunker, nor does it need to be, clearly you're not maintaining the golf course because the edges of your bunker have sand over top of them. That's a maintenance issue. That's not a design issue. I like varying in lengths, different tees. Like I like to have some variety, because I'm not one that goes to a golf course specifically to play the back tees. Yes, I'm a single digit handicap. Yes, I can play a golf course with 7,500 yards, but I want to be able to mix it up with the people I'm playing with and for myself. Sometimes,
and again, we're still trying to put in the elements here that it's a perfect golf club, not just for you to play, but for everyone to play. Right.
So my vision, that's, there's a number of other things that I could go on and on and on of what I like to see in a golf course. Yeah. But we want to talk about some of the other elements of the club part of it. But what about you? Like what in a golf course
I would
you like to see?
I would say a lot of the things that you said are very, very common. They're very common themes, not only responses, but my own thoughts. Creative design. Again, it doesn't have to be super, super long. Decent conditioning. I don't have to putt on marble tables. It just has to be, somewhat consistent. They can roll 8 as long as they're somewhat smooth.
And from green to green.
Right. It has to be sustainable. As someone commented, built on sand. Sand is really great as far as the turf and the feel of turf. I like it to be playable in the fact that it's not so penal that golfers can't. Here's the thing: we play with a shotgun, not a rifle. So recognize that shotgun spray is a lot wider even for a lot of other players, so make it playable. I'm not saying play it in the field, but recognize and understand that for people to have an enjoyable time at all the different levels, they also don't need to be spending another $80 on golf balls to play that. So be fair as far as that's concerned. Still be interesting, still have some challenges. I look at a course like Winter Park in Florida. The challenges are on the greens, they're not so much off the tees. There's interesting targets and things to go for, but you've got to hit quality shots into the greens, which almost everybody can be capable of pulling off something good. So we want turf condition to be good. Doesn't need to be 7,500 yards. I like the option of a short course at the club, a par 3 course, whether that's 3 holes, 6 holes, or whatever. I from a junior golfer, beginning golfer, from a teaching standpoint, I think it's an invaluable facility that's left out. I'd forsake 500 yards of my golf course for the sake of having a good side practice facility or a little short course, because the thing is, you don't have to take up inventory on that course for playing lessons, for getting people to learn the game and integrating. So that practice facility is super, super important, because if you're going to foster growth within the game, you have to be able to teach not just juniors but beginners how to be comfortable in that environment. So you almost need like that. I don't know if you've ever seen that in the Durham region of Ontario here, there's a fake town that they do driving training in. But this is sort of the same thing. I would like to see that practice facility have the different elements that you might see on the golf course, be it signage, be it, to be playable. You can play a few holes on there, be it where to put your carts and things like that. There's lots of different things that can bring into it. So a good practice facility is certainly important. So that's more in the physical side of it. As far as the golf course is concerned, it definitely has to have, like you said, walkable. very easy to walk. And there's a few people that jumped in and said, oh, walking only or whatever. I get what they're saying, but you have to still bring into account there are some people that, you know, once people can't walk, the game is restricted for them because they don't have that capability of doing it. So maybe more on a medical standpoint that they do that. You know, there's a couple people that got into arguments in the channel over, you know, walkers versus carts as far as being faster. People are faster. It's not the cart or the travel method more than anything.
Well, so. And that too, and there's something that has to be considered in all of these things that we're putting on this checklist is that the perfect golf club for you, in your mind, you know, imagine the perfect golf club. It's also a business.
Yes.
So no
100%.
matter whether it's the perfect golf club for you or not, the one factor in here that we have to take into account is that somebody has to run it. So when you talk about having a walking only golf course, that's great.
Yeah.
If it's a private club that you're paying a lot of money for, and the revenue model allows for, we can run a golf course that's walking only because we don't need cart revenue.
Yeah, and I wouldn't say it has to be public or private. I mean, they could gain that revenue in other ways. I think they just have to balance the fact that if they take that out and it is a revenue source, that they have to balance that with some other revenue source. Yeah. So I would say it's not exclusionary that way. I think it took a while actually before, you know, someone made the point and they reached out and they eventually posted, but had a general manager pro from a prestigious top level club said, you know, people are missing one thing as far as the top level club. They're talking about the physical facility, and we can still talk about things that are going in the clubhouse and stuff like that, but they're like, they never talked about people. And you got to have the staffing that will provide the service levels to have the same vision that everyone else has and to buy into that and all row in the same direction. And just as we said, you can have the perfect golf course, but if the rest of the operation doesn't work, that business doesn't work. So, you know, that gets neglected in a lot of cases, and people will think that maybe that just because the course is really great, that they don't need to have great service. But, you know, the experience totally is not just about the golf course. It's about every little touch point that people were involved in. So one of the aspects that would, for me, was, you know, have professionals that are there, have people that are, and I'm not saying that they have to be in this association or this association, they have to be people that are committed to the industry and committed to their job and rowing in the right direction. Certifications and all that stuff, I totally believe in all that aspect of it, but it comes down to the people themselves and how they're executing and doing things. And if you have good people and they're going all together in the same vision, it makes a lot of a difference, that's for sure. And there needs to be more put into human resources at a lot of golf courses.
Yeah, and I think part of the problem that the golf courses run into, as does any business, is it's one thing when you're searching for professional staff. It's one thing when you're searching for chefs and people that are making the food. It's one thing when you're looking for a manager or a superintendent, and allocating dollars to finding the right people and paying those people appropriately to do the job to provide what it is that your patrons want. It's the other staff that's the tough one, and it's gotten harder and harder to find people who are invested.
Well, I get that. I get that.
You know what I mean? Like making part-timers and things like that.
I get that. Those people are not. Those people are, you're not having the expectation that they're going to make it a career, but it's then the responsibility to have the good managers and other people in place to train those people properly, to give them the level of enthusiasm that they need to have in the job, and to present them the fact that here's what you're doing. You're just not here for a paycheck. Your job and your days will be much better if you can provide a better experience, and it'll basically, it feeds on itself. And, you know, if you train them well and show them how to do the job properly, they'll enjoy it better. And in a lot of cases, these people are just vessels, right? But you got to pick out the personality traits. They don't necessarily have to be a golfer, but you got to pick out the personality traits that are going to best suit them to the job and train them properly to be able to do it. So I think within the perfect golf club, you've got to have those people. And I think that's a big part of it. But you've also got to make sure that your expectations of them are not beyond what your facility can provide as well. if all of a sudden you set that person up and your food and beverage, you don't pay a lot of attention to your food and beverage, and all of a sudden you put that person out as a server, I mean, you basically just, you just throw them to the wolves more than anything.
To me, it's a top down model. I mean, your managers, the people that are managing the people underneath them. So your restaurant manager or your food and beverage manager.
Those are your rock stars. Those are your rock stars.
Yeah. They have to be invested.
Yeah.
They also, from an investment perspective, they have to be invested also in the people that are working those part-time jobs, the servers, the bar staff, because how they treat and work with those people that are not management will dictate a lot of how those people treat the customer. So if that manager is a power hungry, anal retentive, tyrant, then, and they treat the staff underneath them with disrespect and I'm bigger than you kind of attitude, then the staff down below are going to come to work with the attitude that, well, I'm coming to work because I need my $15 an hour. I need to make some money. They're not coming to work because they look forward to going to work.
Yeah.
And not every part-time person comes, looks forward to going to work. But if you make it seem like going to work is, who's, they're talking amongst themselves, and it's, who's managing tonight? Oh, it's so and so. Oh crap, it's gonna be that's not what you want. You
want to help them within their job, right? Like I can remember being a pro shop manager and having a 16 or 17-year-old staff member that was behind the desk at the pro shop, and it's making life easier for them and understanding how life can be easier for them. So, when you're going in there, don't give them crap for the fact that they're having a seat behind the counter because they're tired and whatever the case. I made sure to try and teach that staff that, hey, you know what? If you're going to get crap from you're complaining because you're getting crap from a member because you're sitting down and doing whatever. The thing is you can help yourself by getting up and engaging them first and being on the upper hand. And guess what? As soon as you put a smile on your face and you offer a positive experience to them, they're going to feel guilty if they try to give you crap. So the thing is, as a manager, you can try to help that staff, and that just makes the experience just that much better overall. So you got to create that culture within that. So,
so a quality product,
great service
is a big deal. Good service and staffing is a must. So let's talk about.
Go ahead.
Sorry, what you're going to say something?
I was going to say you were just saying as far as quality, but that's more that physical amenity as far as the course itself.
The main product. So it's a golf course. So you've got it's a golf club. So you've got a golf course. So that if that's not there, there's no golf club. So it's a golf course. Then you've got a clubhouse and a restaurant and everything. You got people in there, people out in the parking lot, people on the tee, whatever, your starters, your marshals, whatever you want to call them, your guest assistants. Now you're talking about, let's talk about, the amenities, the things that are offered. Okay. Yeah. Now, are these the kinds of things we're talking about that a member of a club would be looking for, or just,
No, it could be
there's
anybody.
Not a lot of public only golf courses really anymore. There, at least not in our region, there's not a lot of public specific golf courses. Most golf courses have members, or
we'll call it semi-private or whatever. But and we're not talking a muni here or whatever. But I mean, it's still something. Any golf course in general, if they're going to have success and they want to have year-round revenue and they want to have a successful business where they're not really trying to put the pressure on a short season where they all of a sudden looking at their revenue is only their green fee, that's a problem. Your green fee can only go up by so much. So it's investing in the other facilities, the indoor simulators, the dining experience. I mean, one of the best things I ever heard from someone is that, they were talking about their course and they're like, my goal is to have our golf course be the #1 restaurant for our customers. So that if you have somebody that comes to your place, if they think about going to dinner on Friday night, they don't think about going to X or whatever. They think, man, I'm going to the golf course, whether it's a member course or not. It's creating that experience with those amenities. Could be fitness. You know, I know a number of courses that, you know, a couple of years ago, one course, for example, they, in a customer survey for within their membership and their public golfers, they basically found out that, you know, a large percentage of their customers were paying, you know, to be a member at a fitness club. They're like, well, why can't we be the fitness club? You know, and they looked at what the average fitness facility was or whatever, and they put in a fitness facility, and they were able to blend that same fee that people were paying membership dues to. They were able to then spend that money at the same place, but it also kept them going to that golf course, and it made their, you know, their juice bar all of a sudden be busier. Their coffee bar was busier. They had people coming for breakfast because they were coming for the fitness. Then they had people that were coming to do workouts and then finishing their workout and then sitting down in their dining room and doing work on their laptop for a couple hours while they had a cup of coffee or whatever. So it's putting the greater reasons for people to come to your facility to create a stronger attachment.
The thing is, I mean, I guess as a course operator, when you're looking at, what do you do? You open the doors, you're a golf course. You got a golf course out there, you open your clubhouse, you've got a pro shop, you've got a restaurant in there, you're servicing tournaments and so on and so forth. You've got office staff working in there, maybe. Yeah. So what part of makes you feel like you have to shut down? You know what I mean? Like, like there's got to be, there has to be some kind of reason, financial or otherwise, why a golf course looks at the end of the season as the end of the season.
Yeah. Okay. So there's a couple of things that fall in there. One, traditionally, a lot of golf courses weren't doing anything in the wintertime, so they just looked at it as seasonal. Two, harder to get staff because they depend a lot on students in the summertime. So they haven't looked at their staffing as a year-round type of thing. Also, as well, that staff is tired. The days are really long. So in some cases, from an HR standpoint, either they've made their staff work too many hours or they're understaffed, so they can't distribute those hours properly, so that, you know, they get to the end of the season, people are like, man, I'm exhausted. Well, a person's going to be exhausted if they've had to work 100 hours a week. So they get to the end of the season, they want to be done. The other side is it takes effort to start. You know, it's like a big boat. If you're going to move a big boat, it takes a lot to push it. So the same thing, it takes effort to start winter activities and to all of a sudden, but now you're seeing courses do it. They're seeing proof of success within other, or like proof of the model within other courses, seeing them go to, you know, 4 simulators, 5 simulators, 6 simulators, adding other winter amenities. They're starting to do cross-country skiing or whatever. And then they go, oh, okay, I guess it does work. So now we'll put the effort in it. If they don't know if the concept's going to work, it's really hard to make that risk. And I totally understand that. So that's part of the reason, is that there's a trepidation there because they don't want to take the risk, or sometimes don't want to put the effort into starting something new. Whereas, you know, if your golf course has already been there for 50 years, it's already, that boat's already moving, right?
Yeah, and I think that when we're talking about reimagining the golf club, we're talking about this as if we are starting from scratch tomorrow.
Yes, 100%.
So a lot easier when you're building that business model to say, this is part of our business model. When October comes around or November comes around, we put the golf course to bed. You know, we now take that component of the clubhouse and we have 2 simulators that go up in there. Right. This is the staffing we need to have in there. When the snow flies, we're going to groom the cross country trails along the cart paths or around the golf course.
Put out the fire pits and put out the chairs. And
so it's all part of the model. When you've been established and you want to now say, oh, those sounds like some great ideas, let's do that. Well, now you've got to figure out, okay, where's the $40,000 coming for each simulator? Sure. Where's the staffing come from? How are we going to model this? What about how do we groom cross-country ski trails? Where do we put the fire pit? How do we staff that? What's the revenue model? Is this a year-round membership now that we can sell, where people have access to the simulators as if they were a member, where they pay the winter fee added on to their regular fee to have access?
So this goes back to your staff and their ability to do long-term planning, so that you have a strategic plan as opposed to what's happening next week, what's happening tomorrow. Strategic plans are long-term plans. These are 5 to 10 years out. not a lot of golf courses have those, and from a business standpoint, they're essential to know where you're going and realizing that, yes, you know what, you might have some costs. And again, that lends into itself why some of those things fail, is because they all of a sudden try to turn it and do it instantly. Well, it doesn't always work that way. So when they don't have the success, they go, oh, that didn't work, and they bail. But if they stuck with that long term and had that as part of their strategic plan, where they're planning properly for that from a finance standpoint, a budgeting standpoint, priority standpoint, then that becomes easier. But again, that comes back to staffing. It comes down to committees. When you're dealing with private golf courses, you get board turnover in a short period of time. All of a sudden, a board tries to put their stamp on something rather than sticking to a strategic plan. That becomes an issue, and they start looking, what's happening tomorrow? Well, you shouldn't have to worry about what's happening tomorrow. Everything else should be taking care of that. So yeah, there's a lot of elements that are there. So, within all that, I mean, my last point that I'll give to you, and you can comment on that, is programming. This is a really neglected thing. And my background, when I went to school, my first education was in health and recreation, and looking at recreation and planning, programming, that was the big thing. You could sit there and have the greatest recreation facility in the world, but if you didn't have quality programming, you didn't really have anything to offer your clientele. So again, that's a staffing standpoint. That's imagining what your club is about. What's your programming look like? How are you attracting people? Again, your goal is really to be aspirational, so that people want to go to the place and not think so much about the price. It has to be priced fairly to fit the market, but you want people to go, oh man, that club offers that. I want to go do that, without their first thought being, oh, I wonder how much that costs. So if your programming means your instruction programs, it means your social events, it means everything else. Yeah, you've got to be active on that if you're going to fill the hours that you have to maximize your revenue. So programming is huge.
I would agree with that 100%. It's all part and parcel of the whole club experience.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
That's ultimately what it is it's, maybe the green fear is not looking for the same experience that the member is. And in fact, I know the green fear is not looking for the same experience.
They're
They're
a short time
for the most part is a short-term customer that you want to come back. Right. So you want to make sure that as a green fear, when I go there, I want to be greeted. I want to be greeted, which means staffing is super important. And the staffing experience that you create for your staff to deliver is important. I want to have a quality product that fits the green fee that I'm paying, which means if I'm paying $5 for a round of golf, well, I don't expect to have perfect greens and perfect tees and grass and bunkers and I don't expect that. But if I'm paying these days, we're getting close to what we should be paying. Maybe we're still a little cheaper in this region of Eastern Ontario, but as a whole, I think the cost of golf is starting to line up a little bit better. So I expect the greens to be in good shape if it's physically at all possible, unless there's a reason why you can't have them in good shape, weather conditions, poor winter, whatever the case may be. I expect the tees to be in good shape. I expect there not to be weeds growing in the fairways. I expect the bunkers to be clear of sand. I expect the bunker to be clear of sand. I expect the bunker to be clear of grass. And weeds growing. I expect the edges of the bunkers to be clean. I expect the course to be in good shape. I expect the food and beverage cart to be out there when it should be out there, and not just, I've experienced a lot of times where 2 o'clock in the afternoon on a hot day and I don't see a beverage cart for 4 or 5 holes. It's not acceptable, in my opinion, not for someone who's trying to get the best experience possible. So that's what I expect, and I expect to be treated with respect. And it's really about the experience. As a member, there's certain things I expect. There's certain things that members demand, or certain things that members expect that they should give their head a shake. The members of a golf course have certain rights as a member, but essentially what you're paying for as a member is you're paying for your golf, you're paying for your your locker storage, if that's the case. You're paying you're paying to be at the golf course to be able to play it. You're paying to have a men's night, maybe you're paying to have a club championship, to be on an intersectional team, whatever the case, you're paying to have the right to all those things. You're not paying to decide how short the greens are cut. You're not paying to decide whether
even if that's the case, if you're at a private club where you're a shareholder, you're a shareholder. You don't get to decide all those things. You can have you get to have contributions through the board,
right?
But again, you have to get it's about the greater majority and not just what your personal preference is.
As a member, certain amount of demand on the golf course, quality, consistency, conditioning, staffing is something that I expect to be really solid. Food and beverage, the food especially, the service that I get, the pro shop,
and the food doesn't have to be super high end.
No, we're not talking about keg here. Like,
it has to be good quality with variety that meets the needs of a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
Simple menus that are probably better from a service standpoint, as far as economical, because again, it still has to fit within a business model, but that doesn't mean there has to be a lot of compromises for certain things. But again, all these things just take a little bit of extra effort, and again, reimagining, and there are a lot of, and I go back to using that term rock star. There are a lot of rock star facilities that are around the world but people have to look at those and why they're successful and what they've done to be successful, and why people put them up there on a pedestal from an aspirational standpoint, and they don't consider price as the first factor. That's
no, 100%. So as a member, programs that are offered, whether they're instructional programs, whatever, they don't have to be golf instruction programs.
No,
they can be other things. Certain events, member events, things like just, I want, and it comes back to this for me. It comes back to the experience.
Yeah.
What I want, what I'm paying for is what I want. I want to get the experience that I'm paying for. And if I'm paying a decent amount of money, then I have an expectation to receive a decent experience.
Right.
For my money. And as a golf course operator, you want that customer, whether they're a member that comes back day after day after day after day. Look, there's hundreds of golf courses out there. If you think for a minute that you can treat somebody like crap and keep taking their money year after year just because they live 15 minutes closer to you than they do to somebody else, you're dead wrong. They're going to go somewhere else. And the same thing with the green fear. Green fear, there's lots of options out there for reasonable amounts of money.
Yeah.
If you treat people with disrespect and you don't give them now it goes both ways. If you do treat them with respect and you give them the experience that they deserve, and they are disrespectful back, well, you don't really want them there anyway. But that's not really the point of we're talking about setting up the perfect club. So I don't know if we've kind of conveyed in our mind.
Well, there's so many elements to it, right? I mean, that's the thing. When we look at social stuff, I heard people talking about, some of the social aspect of lounges, as far as, pool table, sports ball bar field, outdoor lounges overlooking the course. Again, it's about being immersive and being a place that people want to go to. And as you said, from a value standpoint, that you don't question what you're paying. If all of a sudden somebody is going and they pay X to go to a golf course, whether that's a green fee or as a member, if you all of a sudden start to question the value of that, that's, kind of a red flag more than anything. But if you go and you pay and you're like, man, that's the experience that I want. And everybody's going to be different of what their experiences are going to be. And I understand you're not going to make every single person happy, but overall, if you're going to be successful, you want that attractor so that people don't walk out there and go, ooh, when I count out what what I paid this year, and I'm not sure if that's worth it or not, or whatever. That's an individual's, decision of what they're willing to pay, but do as much as you can to make them happy.
Okay, we got about 5 or 6 minutes left here before we have to shut down. But there was one thing in sort of our list of comments and stuff, and I don't know if you put that in there or if it was somebody specific.
No, those ones were all people, and I have a lot more. So
the second last point and I'm going to read this one because this one I think I actually agree with every single point.
Okay.
So I want to read this one. The person says, user-friendly design, few bunkers, multiple tees, best conditioning possible given the budget, reasonable pricing, multiple membership options, beginner welcome programs. This one I really like. Nominal fee for junior access at specific times. Modest clubhouse, best hamburger around, cheap beer kind of thing. Okay, so now I want to.
That's from John Gordon, actually.
Okay, well then it totally makes complete sense.
Somebody who's
right?
been to hundreds and hundreds of golf courses
he knows,
in his life.
And this is, and I guess that's why because this is exactly what I would say, and I would say this, and this is my last point on this.
All right,
the point he makes about nominal fee for junior access at specific times. What I want to clear is this: nominal access for junior golfers at specific times for junior golfers,
right?
Not pay with a full paying adult, okay? For junior golfers, for junior golfers on the golf course at one time, multiple groups of them paying minimal amounts at specific times to play the golf course without having to have an adult paying a full green fee with them, okay? And if you have junior members, not allowing the junior members to play whenever they want. If you're a private golf club, then that's okay. I will give you. I don't like it. I don't like you. I don't like that. But I also know that some private golf courses, it's impossible almost to get a tee time as a full paying adult member. You're paying way more money than your juniors to play there, so I get that. But as a whole, telling juniors, oh, you can only play after 3 o'clock on Saturday after. Come on. Do you want them to be adult members at some point or another, or would you just rather go play someplace else? Or would you rather they only be junior members if their mommy and daddy are paying thousands of dollars to be there?
And I would tell you, as somebody who coaches a lot of juniors, I've seen a lot of juniors leave clubs and their family ends up going with them because of the treatment to those juniors. So the fact that they were so restricted or they were treated like third-class citizens that it had an impact on their family. You know,
I'm telling you right now, I do not care if I'm making any friends in the golf industry by the kind of statements I'm saying about junior golfers. I realize they don't pay the bills necessarily. They pay some of them, but they will down the road. So if you're going to have them, then let them play the damn golf course.
And we're not saying you have to have 300 juniors with your membership.
No, you know, and we're not saying that you have to charge $100 for them either. But if you're going to let them play, if you're going to have them as members of your golf course, junior members, then they're junior members. They get to play the golf course. Don't restrict them so much and treat them like crap, like they don't belong. It's like I've heard so many times, there's so many juniors on the golf course, you get stuck behind juniors and they're so, blah, blah, blah. It's like, educate them. That's what you're the adult for. Educate them. Have an educational process before they get their members. This is what you have. This is what we expect is you play, be respectful, blah, blah, blah.
But that's where having a short game facility or a 9-hole golf course has a lot of benefits.
In the perfect world that we're trying to talk about.
Yeah, it's exactly it. You look 100%. At places, and I mean, I'm not saying, you have to be Germany where you have to get licensed to be able to play the golf course, right? But what I'm saying is that, if you teach them properly, and it's all levels of golfers. And I hate the fact that people label it on juniors, when sometimes the juniors are out there more than just the average golfer. And the average golfer will the one that's slow. But again, we can't, and we've talked about it before, you can't sit there and blame the golfer if they've not been educated. So if I get behind a golfer and they're playing super slowly because, they're in a cart and they wait till their buddy goes and they drive across the fairway, whatever, they're not doing it because they want to do that. They're trying to do it specifically. It's no different than somebody coaching golf, and they're not coaching to make someone play poorly, whether they give them good information or not. In this case, they're probably not educated for the fact that, okay, drop them off, go get your ball. You can both hit at the same time. It doesn't really, what I mean? You need that education process in there, whether they're 12 years old or, 70 years old. It's all golfers. They all need that education. So, you know what? That's a deep subject. There's a lot more to it. I certainly think we can, look towards some guests and things and talking about some of the different aspects of this as we go throughout, seasons. But yeah, interesting topic. And certainly I think if more people sort of put this thought into it and discuss it more, it'll also have an influence at golf courses where they're at. The more that the golf courses that you work at, and don't do it in a negative standpoint,
right?
Do it in a positive standpoint and going, hey, you know what? I'd love to be at your golf course, but I if I had this and this, I'd be there more and I'd spend more money.
There you go. Yes, indeed. There you go. Great topic.
Big topic, fun topic.
Yeah, bigger. I'd say bigger than expected, but it really wasn't bigger than expected. It's just we could probably keep going. I mean, it's there was a lot of really. I mean, I brought up that one point that you mentioned was John Gordon, and again, fitting that it was John Gordon, and the great minds do think alike, John. There was a lot of cool little things that were brought up. Things like social lounge, like dartboards and pool tables and locker rooms for the members and locker rooms for the daytime members. I know the Marshes used to have a thing where you've got a locker for a day. When you paid your green fee, you got a locker for the day. A cool little feature, cool little add-on where someone can come in and drop their stuff off in the locker. What else? Night patio, like the patio facility. Very
people
important
were
to people.
Talking about dog friendly. They were talking. There were so many different elements that were in there, and like I said, there are threads that we can pull from there, and it'd be interesting to talk to golf courses. I mean, I know one golf course, for an example, in the Kawartha region that started a couple years ago doing some more social events, skins game, fire pit, all the sort of different. They have cornhole available. They're doing different things. It'd be interesting to talk to some of those facilities and what they're doing. Other facilities that like a Black Bear Ridge that is expanding out accommodations. And within those accommodations, there's lots of different things that are there. So it'll be interesting to talk to some of these different operators and maybe see some of the things that they're doing differently. Locally, if we look at Highlands, Rockville Country Club, there's all sorts of different ones that are doing winter type things now. They have winter passes. We've talked a lot on here about Hammond Golf Club and a brewery and all sorts of different things that are there. So it'd be interesting to talk to some of those places and get their perspective on how some of the things have worked, how they planned about doing that, what it has done to change their business. And I think, as I said, when the proof of concept is out there, people are more willing to take that risk because they'll see that others have done it and had success, and they're willing to jump in that. And you know what, realistically, the golf courses have changed in the last 100 years, and we have to keep reimagining them because the audience changes. And the more that we respond to the audience and change, then the more that golf will be relevant to everyone.
Yeah. And you know what? There's one thing that I wanted to add in here. We talked about staffing in particular. And I was just reading through the list here, and it talked about, someone had here having a starter on duty, preferably friendly. I get that, but this is a position at golf courses, and I know that's not a lot of golf courses have starters. A lot of golf courses don't have starters, and they just rely on you going to the clubhouse, you pay your green fee. Here you're up after the group, whatever, and you go and you hit the putting green, you wait for your turn, you go to the first tee. The starter is like the director of operations.
They're an ambassador.
And that starter, I'm telling you right now, no matter what your experience pulling in the parking lot is, no matter what your experience in the pro shop paying your green fee and dealing with the pro shop staff is, no matter what your experience is, what was going into the and getting a couple bottles of water and a bag of chips before you head to the tee, that starter can make or break
100%.
Your that golfer's day and that golfer's experience. And that's the last line of defense. It's like the goalie in hockey. Last line of defense. After everybody else falls down and doesn't do their job, the goalie's the only one you got left to stop the puck. And that starter's like your goalie. If everybody else drops the ball, that starter is the one that saves the day.
That picks it up.
And vice versa. If everybody else does a great job, that starter could be the one that destroys everything that those people did. And makes that golfer's experience. So the starter, to me, crazy important person to have at a golf course. And you need to put the time, the energy, and the effort into finding exactly the right person to do that job, or multiple people to do that job, because man, oh man, if you pick wrong.
Yeah, and that can be part of your facility design too when you're creating. I know of a golf course, and I won't name them specifically, but I know of a golf course that has a lot of success from a tourism standpoint, and they make sure that they have staff that they don't prey on the people when they get in the parking lot, but they're there to greet them and to make sure that what they need right away as they go to the clubhouse. The person in the parking lot normally comes down and offers them a cart ride or whatever. They also help direct them so they feel more comfortable right away, so they don't feel lost. Same thing happens as you take the short walk. If you take the walk up to their clubhouse, they usually have a person standing outside the door at the clubhouse, which shows them and tells them, oh, what can I help you with? Is this something you're looking for? And they're like, yeah, where's the pro shop? Where's this? They have appropriate signage, which again, that was someone that, commented, got to have good signage that's out there, but having a friendly face greet you and show you where to go. Oh, if you need to go to the restaurant, it's here, where, and the tea's over here. And, do you have any questions? Where are you staying? Where, whatever the case may be. And the golf pro, the one that used to work there, he said, I remember talking to him at one point, he's like, I'm not a traditional golf pro. I'm an ambassador for the golf course.
Yeah.
He's retired now. He would spend as much time being around the first tee, making people feel comfortable, giving them directions, giving them tips about the golf course, taking pictures of groups. And I tell you what, it lent to the experience. And even if people didn't have the greatest game that day, it all blended in and made them feel like they had more value. So you're right. The starter, the people of how they're greeting the service. I mean, you don't want somebody wandering in the wilderness. You want to really guide them along and make them feel comfortable and make them feel welcome right away. And
I would love to do, honestly, I'll tell you right now, honestly, in my retirement, when I'm not doing this anymore, or when I no longer want to do this anymore,
you're going to be a starter.
I would love to. Golf course operators, managers throughout the region.
Yeah,
I don't want to leave the Ottawa Valley or the National Capital Region, but if you're looking down the road, I'm putting myself out there. I would be the best thing that happened to your golf course. I would be your director of player experience. Including greeting and starting and I guarantee my personality. Just look at this personality. Come on.
You heard it golf course.
I would love to do it. You're going to have to pay. I'm not going to do it for $1, and I'm not going to do it for free green fees or the ability to go hawk balls in the woods.
Lock him in now, people. Lock him in now.
Yeah, get the contract out, because I get the suitors will come calling once they know I'm going to be available. I don't know when that's going to be. It could be 5, 10, 15 years from now, but I guarantee I would be the most awesome thing to happen to your golf course. I guarantee it.
All right. Well, why do we leave it at that?
Yeah, let's leave it at that. Okay. Scott, awesome show. Great fun topics stuff. As always. This one's been a lot of fun, as was the last one and the one before that. If you've got topics, anybody listening has topics that they want us to dive into, we're not arrogant here. We're open to suggestions.
Oh yeah, and that's part of the reason why
we've been around the block. We'll dig in. We'll dig into just about any topic you want. So shoot us a message, either through flagstick.com or DM Scott or DM me or whatever you like.
Yep. You can find our email addresses on the website.
Yeah. Start a conversation. Throw something up on Twitter or on Facebook as a topic starter. If we like it, we'll kind of push the thread through and maybe make it a topic on the show. Yep. So what we want to do. We want to create conversations and have discussions. Yeah. We'll make golf better for everybody. Thanks to all our sponsors, Metcalf Golf Club, Golf Sim Gurus, and of course our presenting sponsor this week, again, Golf PEI, Golf Prince Edward Island's premier Canadian golf destination, boasting the most number of golf courses per capita in the country, over 400 fairways, closer than you can possibly imagine, top-tiered accommodations, exquisite culinary experiences, as we can speak from experience on. It is the easiest golf vacation you will ever book. Book golf vacations and tee times at golfpei.ca. Great. Hopefully you're enjoying everything, as I'm sure that you are, because I know we are. Be sure to follow us across social media networks, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. subscribe on Spotify, Audible, Google Podcasts, and Apple Podcasts. Do not forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel. More ramping up on the YouTube channel every week. Like us, click the notification bell. Make sure you never miss a single episode. And please get over to flagstick.com. Subscribe to the newsletter and check out amazing golf content that we deliver there every single day. So as always, we appreciate you tuning in. Until next week, I am Jeff Potter.
I'm Scott McLeod.
Always remember, go for the stick.